This is Center Stage, putting your firm in the spotlight by highlighting business owners and other industry experts to help take your firm to the next level. Hey everyone, and welcome to Center Stage. I'm your host, John Henson, and this week wanted to talk some more about just networking strategy, the importance of networking, and some things that you can do there. We'll also kind of dive in a little bit more into LinkedIn. We had an episode about LinkedIn a few weeks ago. It was really popular with everyone. And so I wanted to dive back into that again and really talk about some strategy and how to just connect with people, communicate, and really, figure out how you can grow your business just through networking and LinkedIn. And so to help me do that, I am joined by someone who seems like he does it all. He's a marketer, he's an author, he's a speaker, he's a business coach. It's Mr. Scott Aaron. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Well, John, honor and a pleasure to be here. And obviously love talking about LinkedIn. It's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, but also just love connecting in general and providing people resources and knowledge to better themselves and their businesses.
Yeah. So, before we jump in, just kind of tell us your quick story. How did you get to where you are today, to where you're the guy to talk about, networking and LinkedIn and all that?
I will make this as quick as possible because there is a significant backstory, but I'll summarize. So I'm going to be 44 in April. At 19, I officially became an entrepreneur. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. And I was kind of thrusted into that whole role. Long story short, my father, very well-versed entrepreneur, sold his shares in a company that he owned in the mid-1990s to work for someone else, owning and operating multiple physical rehabilitation, I would say, offices in fitness clubs. So they would find a fitness club, much like a lot of gyms have chiropractors and physical therapists. This is back in the mid-1990s, so it was kind of new. What he didn't know is that the guy that he partnered with was a scam artist, to say the least. My father got caught up in it, got out before it was too late, and ended up having to serve 2.5 years in federal prison. In the time period between, my father pleading guilty and accepting his sentence to going away, it was around 8 months. So in that time period, my father was always big into fitness. He still is. He actually turns 70 in December. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but December 21st is his 70th birthday. If you saw him, John, you would think he was in his early 50s. He's still jacked, and he has multiple world and national bench press records for his age and weight. Still puts up 340, 350. It's pretty impressive what he can do. So at that time, he said, okay, what can I get my hands on to leave the family with? So when I do go away, it's business as usual. There's income coming in because it was my mom. When my parents were together, they're not anymore. And myself and my younger sister, she's 3 years younger than me. So, I was 19, she was 16. And my father ended up purchasing a failing fitness club in downtown Philadelphia, about a half hour outside of where we lived in the burbs. And he was there from the minute it opened to the minute it closed. He wanted to get it up and running. Unbeknownst to me, that was going to be turned over to me when my father went away. So at 19 years old, I became psychologically unemployable, and I became a gym owner, but also a business owner. So that really got me into the throes of what it meant to be an entrepreneur. And again, there was tons of ups and downs. There was millions made, millions lost, but extracting the core lesson of how the bridge was created to get me onto LinkedIn, I focused a lot on problem solving. So if you think about when people join a gym, they're joining a gym to solve a problem they're having physically, right? They need to lose weight. They want to gain muscle. They want to look and feel better. So they're walking in with the premise of like, okay, I have a problem and this is where I'm going to have it solved.
Yeah.
So I was always in problem solving mode. Someone walked in the gym. Hey, what can I show you? What are you looking to achieve? So I was always asking questions to get answers. Now, fast forward 2013, I was now at this point 15 years into the health and wellness industry. I was a very successful personal trainer. We were on our third gym. We had sold the first two. We opened up a third, but I was trading time for dollars. I was working about 75 to 80 hours a week, and I was looking to expand my business and my brand on social media. And I knew that Facebook and Instagram would only get me so far just because they were more social platforms. They were not really business platforms. And if you were going to turn into a business platform, you had to pay to play. And I really wasn't at the point financially to invest $5,000-$10,000 a month in Facebook ads. So I was at a conference. It was an online wellness conference, and I'll never forget that the host of the conference was doing a part on connection and conversation, and he brought on a lot of these huge online wellness professionals that were crushing it online. And he kept asking them the same question, how many conversations have you had to have? How many conversations have you had to have? And I mean, the answer is 3,000, 5,000, 7,000. I mean, ridiculous numbers, right?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I was like, man, I'm in trouble, because I was using a platform at the time, Facebook, that only allowed, 5,000 friends, right?
Right.
John, you and I both know that we don't have the emotional capacity for 5,000 friendships. It's just, we have the capacity for whatever we can. But so I said to myself, where can I go to network with business professionals where greater amounts of relationships can be built? And then I started realizing through some research that LinkedIn was the place I needed to be. And there was specific demographics that said, this is a platform I need to dive into. The fact that you're allowed 30,000 organic connections, age demographic is 35 to 55, yearly income is $100,000 a year or more, organic lead gen, LinkedIn versus Facebook, 277% more effective. 80% of B2B leads are generated on LinkedIn out of all the online lead sources. So it was all these glaring facts that it's like, okay, I got to lean into this. And that was the first light bulb moment that said, you know what? I got to dust off my profile, which I started in 2009, and I got to start digging into this to see what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things you said was very striking to me. You talk about how, you're operating a gym, you're trying to grow this gym, and people are going there because they have a problem that they're trying to address. And it's that key kind of thing that I think a lot of people tend to miss. I mean, our audience is a lot of lawyers, a lot of financial pros, and I've seen a lot of them kind of get in this mindset where it's like, well, I'm different. Like the things that I do are different. And so the principles and the strategies that all these other people do, they don't really apply to me because I'm different. But if you break it down, you're still doing what you were doing at the gym. You're helping people address a problem.
And again, I'm so glad you picked up on that, because not only is it mirroring itself, because life and business typically mirror themselves. So if you think about not only from the business standpoint that I'm still in problem solving mode for people, it's just done in a different capacity. People are looking to learn how to leverage LinkedIn. They're looking to generate more qualified leads. They're looking to, book more sales calls, close more sales, personally brand themselves on the platform. If you think about it from a business standpoint, on a personal level, think about what makes you successful in the gym: routine, consistency, and structure. So those same things, routine, structure, and consistency, you apply that to LinkedIn. You have a structure to what you're doing. You have a routine daily about what you need to do, and you're consistent with your efforts. Guess what? You're going to build a great business on the platform. So they do really go hand in hand.
Yeah. So, and our specialty is marketing, content marketing. We do a lot with social media. Obviously you talked about how LinkedIn, great B2B, great, opportunities there for business owners to grow their firm. I think some people, when they hear like, oh yeah, network on LinkedIn, networking on LinkedIn, and they might think about, it's like, well, I've gone to all of these in-person networking events. I know how to start conversations in person because we can make eye contact or we can sit down at a table together, and exchange information that way. How do you do that on a social platform where maybe you're not making that eye contact, you're not sitting at a table together, you're almost essentially just kind of searching for people or coming across people who you don't know if they want to talk to you? How do you approach that?
Well, I think there's a couple different ways that you can do it. And I think the most front-facing way that people recognize is through genuine direct messaging. So I always talk about the core foundations of your network have two specific things in relation. And you should have two types of connections. Your network should be full of ideal clients or, your ideal niche market, another way to say it, and power partners. Much like John and myself, we're both podcasters. We're in the business world. We're great power partners. He's going to be guesting on my podcast. Obviously, I'm guesting on his, and it's a way to build a know, like, and trust outside of having great haircuts. That's a way for us to build rapport and trust with each other's networks without ever meeting any of them before. That's the most front-facing way. I would say the additional way that a lot of people don't put enough value on and don't spend enough time doing is the content created on LinkedIn. I feel that people are still selling and pitching too much in their efforts on LinkedIn instead of producing value-added content. And it's something I teach my clients. I just came back from a keynote in Palm Springs, California. 75 entrepreneurs in the room with me. We did a 2-hour deep dive on what they need to be doing. And, I always finish my trainings on creating value-added content on LinkedIn, because that's what creates the bridge of relatability between you and that connection. Because again, everyone, think about anything that you've bought, right? The car that you drive, the realtor that you use to buy your home, any of those things. Those are two great examples. The car that you end up leasing or buying, you've done a ton of research on. You've read reviews, you've done a test drive, you've checked it out. And think about the person who helped you buy your home or even rent where you live. You go to a trusted source, someone that you know, like, and trust. And to your point, for a lot of people, that's challenging to do online. But a way to ease that struggle, a way to formulate that bridge or that gap that may be there between the person that you're looking to connect with and yourself and what you do, is providing value-added content the way that LinkedIn allows you to do, where you educate, you inform, and you position yourself as the go-to specialist and the expert in your space.
Yes. This is what we've been saying for so long. And it's great that this is personally, I mean, just to go off on a tangent real quick, this is why
I like tangents, by the way. So just go.
Yeah. This is why I like doing this, peek behind the curtain. All right. I met Scott through a podcasting directory, right? Where it's, hosts and guests can kind of get together, figure out, say, hey, I might be a good fit for your show, or hey, you might be a good fit for my show, stuff like that. I have known Scott literally about as long as most of the listeners here have. We've exchanged a couple of emails, did some research, and that's it. And to see that you have the same sort of mindset and philosophy and essentially validate the things that we've been saying, that's just really exciting for me, because I don't know, it just makes me feel good. But back to the point that we were talking about. You're talking about value added content. The thing that I see a lot, people kind of have this misconception of content marketing, and this is what we do, where when they try to do it themselves, all of their copy, all of their content is just call our number, schedule your consultation, contact us. That's it. It's not, there's no value to it. It's just a straight pitch.
Well,
And
there's no reason. You're not giving people a
right,
reason to
right,
contact you or to visit your website or to download. It's just like, hey, call me. Well, why? Why should someone call you? Why should someone visit your profile?
right. Yeah, I mean, it's the similar to like if you're ever just driving down the interstate. I noticed this a lot in Florida. You drive down the interstate and it's billboard after billboard after billboard of all of these law firms, and it's all the same thing. It's just lawyer, or lawyer's face, law firm name, phone number, and that's it. Why would I pick you on this billboard versus the other billboard a quarter mile down the road because the other billboard's prettier? Like, no, like I need a reason to inherently trust you, and you just giving, shoving your phone number in my face 30 times is not going to do that. If anything, it's just going to make me not like you and not trust you.
Well, I mean, 100%, because everybody, no matter who the person is, you have to think about when you're creating value added content on any social media platform. We're just talking about LinkedIn, but this could be made applicable to anything you do on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, anything that you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to give people two things. Number one, a reason to read or watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
And two, a reason to come back.
Yes.
So to create that trust is you have to give in order to get. And here's the big thing. I'm sure you know who Amy Porterfield is. She's incredible at what she does. And I remember she did a podcast episode probably about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And she had, I'm going to put this in air quotes, a LinkedIn expert come on her show. And Amy was asking her questions about, how should her listeners be using LinkedIn? What should they do? And you could tell the way that this person was answering the questions, she lived in a fear mentality, meaning she was afraid to give too much, because if I give too much, people will then never invest with me after that. So Amy picked up on this, and after getting monotonous answer after monotonous answer, she basically just took over the reins and basically started giving whatever tips she could in what she was doing on LinkedIn that was helping her business grow. And it really was an awakening moment for me, because it made me feel good about what I was doing, because I don't hide anything. There are no secrets. I have nothing to hide. So when I'm teaching and training on LinkedIn, I do 2 free workshops a week on LinkedIn. I do 20 to 30 minute trainings Mondays and Thursdays on LinkedIn, and I give people value.
Yeah.
And the universe always gives back to you tenfold. And you don't ever have to chase people. People show up when they're ready. Why I want to go back to the consistency thing when I was talking about the gym.
Yeah.
You can't make one post that is value added about what you do and how you help people. The sky's not going to open up and drop people and money into your lap. Right. You're one of millions of people that are creating value added content. So it's the consistency game. It's doing things on a consistent weekly basis that plays into something called the compounded effect. So if you ever read the book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect, I highly recommend anyone to read it, because it will turn on that light bulb and you will never want to be inconsistent ever again. Now, I also call it the 401k mentality. For people that are listening to this that are in the States, we know what a 401k is. It's a retirement fund. What do you do with a 401k? If you're doing it the right way, you call your financial advisor and you set up automatic withdrawals every single month of a specific dollar amount, coming out every single month ongoing, because it's not about where that amount of money is right now. It's the compounded interest that allows it to grow time and time again, year after year. It's the same mentality when you're looking to provide value-added content on LinkedIn or social media in general. It's the interest that builds from the consistent content and how you're showing up each and every day, each and every week, each and every year.
Yeah. And it's counterintuitive to kind of how we're being conditioned as a society. Like, we're kind of just in a place right now as a society where we can get anything we want instantly. Like, you want groceries delivered to your door, you can have them in 30 minutes. You can
Order
order
a car.
anything.
You could go
Yeah,
to Carvana.com and
right.
order a car, have a slot machine, and it's delivered in your driveway 2 days later.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, it's counterintuitive, and we see this in marketing all the time. We think, a lot of business owners will just be like, here, bam, just I want my phone to ring off the hook immediately. Go do whatever you have to do with my SEO or whatever the case is. And it's not, you're not going to get the same results that way. It is the long game, and building that momentum consistently over time is what's going to reap the biggest results. And one of the things that I see a lot happening, especially with business owners who don't delegate their marketing activities and they're trying to handle it all themselves, what they end up doing is they start marketing themselves and they start getting results. They get a bunch of leads in, they convert them to clients, they get really, really busy. All of a sudden, you don't have enough time left in the day to do the other things. And so what's one of the first things that gets put on the back burner? Your marketing. Why? Oh, because everything's going great right now. I don't need marketing. But then what happens when that casework dries up and you don't have anything coming in because you stopped your marketing? And so you get into these peaks and valleys. And it's like, yeah, the consistency and building that ecosystem is one of the most important foundational elements of why this works.
Prime example, my wife and I have a SaaS product. It's called BYOB Social. So we worked with some developers and we have our own social media posting platform because a lot of people were complaining, how do I be consistent? So just like Hootsuite and Buffer, but we have a search engine built into it. We have content ideas. We do a monthly content creation strategy session with all the members. We have about 150 people in there. It's great. They love it. It's only $49 a month and they can pre-schedule all of their content for however much they want ahead of time to the multiple platforms that they're using. And this one person ended up canceling after 3 weeks. And one of the reasons why she canceled is that she's like, I'm not getting any results from the content that I've been posting. And my wife's rebuttal was, it's fine if you want to cancel, but how many times did you post in the last 3 weeks? And she said, twice.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife said, listen, we're going to cancel your subscription, but just to let you know, social media is the long game. You're not going to put out a post or two and start making millions of dollars. The success that people are having right now is based on the weeks, the months, and the years of consistent efforts. And that's the perfect and where this person's mind went. She's like, I don't want to be on social media anymore. I'm going to get off all of it. I'm not going to use it anymore. And that is also one of these, as you mentioned, these preconditioned types of things now that there's so many marketers out there that are doing a disjustice to people like you and I that tell people it's about the long game, but you have other marketers out there saying, oh, you just have to craft one great post and you're going to create sales right away. And listen, the simple analogy that I always go by, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Now, using that person as an example, you're going to have posts that garner a lot of engagement and a lot of visibility. And you're going to have ones that are complete stinkers. They're literally going to fall flat on their face. No one's going to see it. But the one thing, John, that I always tell people is I don't pay attention to the vanity metrics because that just feeds the addiction that people have with the likes and the loves and the comments and the views. Like, I could care less. What I do care about is what my content does on the back end. And the back end to me is, how is my email list growing? Because that's the only thing I own with all of what we do, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has to remember that social media, it's rented land. You don't own it. You don't own your Facebook profile. You could lose your Facebook group tomorrow. They could shut down your Facebook business page today. They could kick you off of LinkedIn next week. They could block you on Instagram next month. But you know what people can't take from you? Your CRM.
Yep.
They cannot take any of the contents, the contacts, and the email addresses that you'd have accrued that allow you to then market people offline. And for people to say, well, email marketing's dead, you're dead wrong. Email marketing, it's not even dead. It's getting better and better. And too many people are pushing their chips in the wrong pot instead of putting them in the right one.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Everything you're saying has been giant pillars of our messaging over the last, probably 3, 4, 5 years at this point. One other thing, and we can kind of bring it back to LinkedIn a little bit with this here.
Yeah.
We talk about consistency. One of the biggest pushbacks that I hear a lot is, well, I don't want to annoy my audience with posting too much, and like the social media service that we offer, it's posting once a day, weekly, or not weekly, once a day, every weekday. Right. And like, I think that's the minimum, because not everyone's going to see everything that you post,
Yep.
especially on Facebook, where business pages are almost completely censored for organic reach.
Yep.
But like, Twitter, by the time this airs, Twitter may not even exist anymore.
Who knows?
Or it will exist in a completely different form. LinkedIn is still kind of that golden spot because it's fully organic. If you're watching your timeline, you'll see everything that everybody's posting. But I mean, what do you say to people who hear that maybe they should post, at least once a day, and they think, well, gosh, I'm going to annoy my audience with that much content?
Well, two things. Number one, the thoughts and feelings of others about what you're doing shouldn't matter to you. If it's going to annoy someone, they're not the right kind of connection for you. So let you annoy them and let them go find someone else. So that actually helps you filter out the people that you should want to be connecting with and not. The
Right.
second thing is that if you're not front facing all the time, you're going to fall in the cracks of everything else that's going on. And you do need to be very consistent and showing up daily on social media. Now, if I was to give people a quick rundown of what kind of consistent show up rate I'm speaking to when it comes to social media, if you're going to be posting organically to your Facebook page, I always suggest 2 to 3 posts a day, because again, to John's point, the algorithm is so fast on some of these platforms that your stuff gets buried. So I would say 2 to 3 posts a day on a personal Facebook page, once a day in a Facebook group or a Facebook business page, more than enough. Instagram, there's so many different things we can talk about with Instagram. You should be adding to your story at least 3 or 4 times a day. You should be doing at least a post, whether it be Instagram Live, an Instagram video, an Instagram post. It could be a reel. You should be doing about 3 or 4 of those a week. The thing that you should be doing daily on Instagram that they always recommend is adding to your story. Now with LinkedIn, what I love about LinkedIn is, to John's point, it's so organic, but the visibility and the reach go much further than the other platforms. So I tell people at a bare minimum, you need to be posting 3 times a week on LinkedIn, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you can wrap your mind around that, doing a video piece of content on Mondays, doing a poll question for market research on Wednesdays, which is going to give you more content produce. And that way, Friday, you can produce a longer form piece of content, whether it be an article, newsletter edition, or post up to 3,000 characters. That's going to give you plenty of ammunition. Now, you could put smatterings of other things. You can do one of the new template feature. You could do another video, because I do 2 polls, I do 2 videos, 1 post, and 1 newsletter a week on LinkedIn. So I post 6 out of the 7 days. I typically don't do anything on Sundays, but posting once a day across all platforms, I would say, is the standard if you want to be seen on social media. And again, if you feel it's quote unquote too much, or you're annoying your audience, let you annoy your audience, because that means it's the wrong audience. If it's the right audience, they will be salivating for more of your content. They can't get enough of it. They want more of it. And that's why they're going to tune in every single day for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of one of the last questions that I had for you before we wrapped up here, we're big on systems and processes here. It's one of our core values. if someone out there is looking for just starting points on how to build a process for them to start working on LinkedIn, building connections, and even just a easy way to have conversations on LinkedIn, where should they start?
So glad you asked this, because my core value is systems and structure. Because if you want to create the compounded effect, if you want to create consistency, and you want to hold yourself accountable, I'm big on creating habits. So again, John, this goes back to my days in working out, right? I would write up workout plans for people. I would write up diet plans for people. So I would say, here's what you need to do every single day. I made that applicable to what I call the 20-minute LinkedIn routine. Now, on LinkedIn, there's 3 core things that you need to do daily. So the first thing you do, you send out targeted connections. And again, going back to something that I spoke about earlier in the episode, you want to send connections, whether it be searching for them or using the My Network area, which are your suggested connections. You want to make sure they fit in one of those 2 buckets. Do not send a connection request or accept a connection request from someone that's not in your ideal client niche, or a power partner, much like John and I are, both being podcasters. So that's the first thing. You need to plant seeds in order to reap the harvest. Now, take into consideration, you're only allowed 100 sent connection requests per week. So if you're doing connecting Monday through Friday, that's 20 a day. That will keep you under the radar. The second thing you're then going to do is you're going to message your new connections that you've made from the day prior. So you've planted the seed. Now you've had people accept. Now you have to reach out to them. Now, you're not going to reach out to them to sell them and pitch them. You're going to reach out to them much like I reached out to John on Matchmaker. It's not a dating site. It's for podcasters. And all I said to John was, hey, John, my name's Scott. Here's what I focus on. Would love to be a guest on your podcast, and I have my own. Would you be open to supporting each other by guesting on each other's podcasts? And John literally replied within 15 minutes, and now here we are. So you want to craft and create the same kind of message on LinkedIn. So if you're connecting with your ideal client niche market, but you're also connecting with a power partner, I can structure the same kind of message. Hey, John, so great to be connected to you. I noticed that you were a podcaster, as am I. Would love to hear about what your show is all about. Share more about me and mine, and how we can support one another here on LinkedIn. Anytime for a call or a Zoom this or next week. So it's just a very genuine, authentic message where you're not looking to pitch and sell. You're looking to build those relationships. That's what it's all about. So you're planting seeds every day. You are sending genuine messages to get calls booked on your calendar, because that's how you move the needle of your business forward. And the last thing that you want to do is to create some content. So many people just focus on the connecting and messaging. But what I'll tell you is, you will increase the rate of people accepting your connection based on the content that you produce, because a lot of people do their due diligence prior to accepting a connection request. If I was going to send a connection request to John, he's going to click on my profile and kind of check things out. What has Scott posted recently? And if it says no activity in the last year, it's going to automatically place me into that spammer category, because if I'm not posting anything of value, what John may sense is, you know what? If I respond to this message, I feel a sales pitch coming on. So you don't want to position yourself in that category. You want to make sure that you're producing at a bare minimum, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, 3 pieces of content a week, a 2 to 4 minute video that educates and informs on Mondays, or you can do LinkedIn Live if you're comfortable on live video. You do a market research poll question to find out any pain points or areas of struggle that your network is having, so you can then fill that void, fill that gap with your longer form content on Friday, whether it be a newsletter article, a general post, or an addition to your newsletter. And again, focusing on that strategic methodology, sending your connections, sending your messages, booking those calls, and producing content that is of high value is going to have you become successful on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Love it. How can people get in touch with you, learn more about what you do, and take advantage of some of your resources?
Yeah, John, thank you for that opportunity. Again, LinkedIn obviously would be a great place to find me. You could just search Scott Aaron, I'll pop up. You can also go to my website. It's scottaaron.net. It has my podcast on there, which John's going to be featured on. It also has some of my latest books. I did release my third LinkedIn book. It's called The LinkedIn Book for Sales and Marketing. Hit number 2 in 2 different categories on Amazon. So very grateful for that. And it goes over a lot of my sales and marketing tactics in a very simple 120-page book, very actionable, and people are loving it. And, you can grab a copy of that from my website or just reach out to me. I have many programs and ways to help people in any aspect of their business and would love to connect with you.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, this has been really great. Just, I think a ton of valuable content, which is what we wanted to accomplish. So
I appreciate
this has been
that.
really great. Yeah. Thank you all so much for continuing to listen, rate, and review wherever you're listening to the show. Also, continue to send in feedback, topic ideas, suggestions. If anyone out there knows of any other great guests, I do enjoy getting the feedback and just kind of searching through all of the suggestions. So that's going to do it for this week. Scott, thanks again so much for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for listening. To learn more, go to spotlightbranding.com/centerstage.